Believe it or not, this is the last PowerPoint you will have for life science. I have enjoyed teaching you. I hope my lectures haven't been too awful for you, but here we are at the end. Got several more activities to do, but this is your last set of notes. So today we're going to talk about how the DNA sequence and mistakes in the DNA sequence actually can help bring about evolution. All right, so if you remember from when we talked about genetics back in Unit 3, your DNA sequence is the sequence of nucleotides. So A, G, C, T, T, A, C, the nucleotides created by the nitrogen bases. Okay? It's important in forming the genetic information of an organism. So an organism is everything that it is based on that sequence. So the only reason that this is a chimpanzee is because its nitrogen-based sequence tells it it's a chimpanzee. All right? So the sequence makes an organism everything it is. And to remind you how important that sequence is, there's only a 3% difference between a chimpanzee and us as humans. And so just that little tiny bit of difference can create a whole new species. Now, mutations are any mistake or change in the DNA sequence. So that's a mutation, is when there's a mistake that happens in that sequence or when the sequence actually changes. All right? And a mutation changes the DNA in a certain gene. And if you remember, genes are where you actually get your traits. So all of your traits, your hair color, your eye color, whether or not you can roll your tongue, okay, things like that, all of those traits come from your genes. And so if you change the DNA in a gene, you can change the trait that gene controls. And scientists think that's where a lot of our traits come from. For example, the B blood type. Scientists believe that you used to have A as your dominant blood type and O as your recessive blood type, but then a mutation gave us blood type B. And so now we have the different blood types A, B, AB, and O, instead of just A and O. Right? Now the thing about changing a trait is anytime you change a trait with a new gene, there's the possibility of that trait being an advantage for the organism. And if a mutation causes a trait that's an advantage, well, those organisms that now have that advantage are going to be better at staying alive. And then they will have babies, and since your genetics come from your parents, their gene gets passed to their babies. And now that gene that gave them a trait that is better for them will be passed from one generation to the next. And therefore that trait becomes more and more common, while traits that weren't so good disappear over time. And so with some traits disappearing, other traits showing up and becoming very common, that's how species change. And that's how a mutation can lead to evolution by natural selection, by creating a trait that is an adaptation. Makes them a little bit better. All right, let me know if you have any questions. Send me an email or join me on Zoom. Y'all have a great day.